So someone asked me recently if I've ever had a traumatic experience or series of traumatic experiences growing up that have impacted my behavioral responses to stress throughout my life as an autistic person. So, uh, just a quick overview of the overlap between autism, especially more high functioning autism, and PTSD, cPTSD. There are quite a few. First of all, your nervous system, the amygdala, goes into hyper alert any time following trauma. So research is still kind of mixed in that, but uh, some folks can have difficulty regulating intense emotions. There's always an increased risk of substance abuse, self harm behavior, dissociation, suicidality, and an increased risk of victimization. So, autistic people are mostly more likely to experience PTSD than the general population. And this especially goes for women, genderqueer people, and BIPOC autistic people. And there are various theories about why this is. More active amygdala, inflexible nervous system, difficulty regulating emotions, intense sensory experience. I think there's a whole variety of reasons, and as a clinician and as an autistic person, the question that was asked to me really kind of brings me back to my childhood and going the first, I think, 8, 9 years of my life undiagnosed and having there be a lot of misconceptions to my behavior. So, first off, I was a very unregulated kid growing up, and I was extremely inflexible. And basically, all my behavior was rooted in fear. Fear of a routine changing, fear of unknown, fear of, feeling uncomfortable, whether I would get hurt somehow, I don't know, playing kickball or something, uh, experiencing really loud noises, bright lights, a bunch of people talking at once. Looking back, all these things bothered me as a kid, and I never understood why. And each time I would act out, I would be met with just confusion and disappointment from adults because they didn't know, and it was the 90s. So, as a result, I developed a fear of making people upset at me, and that included family. So, I would always often try to make people happy, and sometimes at my own expense. And looking back, that was a very maladaptive thing, and I know I'm not alone in that. There's so many people, not just my generation, but other kids who are maybe currently misdiagnosed, not diagnosed at all, or even if they already are diagnosed, just but their symptomology isn't really fully understood. This fear is real, and this fear can manifest in a lot of behaviors. Uh, following following childhood. I'm always saying that autistic kids become autistic adults, and we don't care enough about the adults. And some of these adults could experience, continuing traumatic responses, PTSD, cPTSD, engage, be involved in unhealthy relationships, with boundary issues, fear of taking risks, fear of just, you know, fear of messing up, perfectionism, self doubt, low self worth, depression, anxiety. Should I go on? I mean, it impacts everything. And, you know, and that's something that, it's taken, God, I mean, 30, 40 years to really sort of come to terms with and try to work on. And, it's just something that is still very real. I mean, people who unfortunately have suffered trauma in addition to the more complex routine trauma bites of daily life as an undiagnosed child. A lot of these folks are, generally more at a higher risk of, I mean, continuing trauma responses, re-victimization if they're in toxic relationships. And I mean, given me, my situation, when I was 11, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor. It ended up being benign, but they didn't know that until they basically, like, within a couple of weeks of developing symptoms that were painful, including headaches and double vision and stuff and back pain, sending me to the hospital and basically cutting me up, giving me a biopsy. And, like I said, I didn't have cancer, but I did have a tumor in like a very vulnerable spot, developing hydrocephalus. So I spent 2 weeks, additional 2 weeks in the hospital, and I went right from that to a year and a half of chemotherapy. And throughout that time, I began to, go through puberty and really just kind of expand my social circle because I entered middle school. And, I struggled socially, but that was really a time that was important for me to not be sick. And I was sick. And, I'd have treatment on every Wednesday, and basically I was fine, starting probably on Fridays. I'd feel sick as a dog Wednesday nights, and Thursdays I'd usually feel like shit, at least part of the day. But Fridays I was starting to be good. Saturday, Sunday, Mondays when I would start to develop that anxiety again, just that instability, not knowing how I'm going to feel in a couple days, having to revisit and, just, have to experience all over again the feelings of, the various needles that were used, the smell of iodine, smell of rubbing alcohol, even the smell of the hand soap that was typically used at the hospital I went to. All of those were triggering for me. And triggers can elicit, psychosomatic and, more physical responses. So I could literally just throw up just thinking about it. And so you just go from that instability for a year and a half, and then all of a sudden it's done. You're gone, you're all better. You don't have to do chemo anymore. So I found myself in 7th grade basically re-entering normal childhood, or at least normal for me. And it felt like it was after everyone else already kind of did. I finally grew, went through puberty properly after everyone else did. And I don't know, it just felt weird and distant. And I am definitely going to continue on this in my next video.